What is up, everybody? Welcome out to our 6 o'clock live stream. We are split screen again. Justin and I hanging out with everybody. We're gonna
Hey,
give it a minute to make sure we get some people pop in. Um, Looks like right now I can't really tell with my count, so let's just double check, make sure everything's working, and we should be good to go, man. How you feeling today, bro?
feeling good, man. Yeah. Gonna have the
Okay,
surgery tomorrow. Looking forward to it. Getting
right
this,
on.
yeah.
You excited to get it over and done with?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really getting it over and done with, though, because I'm never going to be able to eat how I like to eat ever again.
Nah, you'll be all right, man.
Yeah.
You'll be all right, dude.
No, no more
You're gonna,
McDonald's. McDonald's for breakfast, pizza for lunch, and Wawa for dinner.
yeah, you'll be all right, dude. You're gonna feel a thousand times better. So, uh, and then you're gonna wind up losing a boatload of weight, and I'm gonna have to lose weight because I can't have you be losing weight, and I'm the only fat guy on the show, and then it'll throw the whole feng shui off of the show, man.
Yeah, yeah. I
So,
get one of them fake fat suits, though.
no,
You know what I mean?
I'd rather just lose the weight. To be honest with you. It's time. It's time.
How are you
Anyhow,
doing,
man.
man?
I'm doing good, man. I mean, we're doing split screen again because this is on me today. Has nothing to do with the weather. I wasn't 100% sure if my mom was coming home today, not coming home today. It was doing the back and forth game today, so I was like, you know what? I dropped off a set of headset for Justin, and I figured we were square no matter what. So um, we should be good to go. I just want to make sure. Do we sound good? Everything look okay out there? You know what? I just realized that we're linked to the wrong thing. That's probably what's going on.
Nice.
Man. All right. I tell you what. You know what? I'm not even going to be able to do it. I'm just going to have to fix it on the fly tonight. As soon as I get
Okay.
um, yeah, sucks, man. That's
Can
I was
nobody
roughing around.
can
No, we
nobody
got
see us?
no, we got people in here, but it would have been nicer if it was actually linked to the right one. Uh, so you do what you got to do sometimes. So we're gonna fix this on the fly, and so let me first start off with I again want to thank every one of you for subscribing to the channel. Uh, we have been given some cool stuff throughout this process. Um, we were nice enough to be given gifts from Chris Hawkins, one of our listeners. Justin, if you want to pop up yours real quick to show everybody while I'm fixing this. And super, super cool gift. I
Keep
was,
tattooing outlaw.
yeah, man, I was completely full
These
of.
are these are awesome, dude. This was a great gift. Is he
So
on tonight?
I don't see him yet, but that's probably because I screwed up and put it on the wrong damn thing. So that's the tattoos and review one that he did. And then on the other side, he put get tattooed by the fat guy or the old guy. Sorry. um, I kind of almost wanted to start this over just so I could really connect it to the right thing, but I think it's going to screw up if I try it. So we're just going to forge on and move ahead.
I'm just
But
gonna wing it.
there's the white one that it's a bigger version. So first off, I just wanted to say thank you for that, Chris. When he does pop on, which sucks because there's 4 people waiting over there, and I have a feeling that they might be hanging. Cool. Our moderator took care of it. Next thing I wanted,
Nice.
next thing I wanted to give a shout out to was this actually came after Christmas. I know he was in the process of moving and doing a bunch of stuff, so uh, he did kind of, I don't want to say he apologized, but I understood. Let's put it that way. So this was a cool Christmas card that I got from Tobias from Almanac Metals. Pretty badass picture on it, and then it had on the back. Super cool, right?
Nice, man.
So, with that being said, um, between Fat Cracker hooking us up with beard oil, Chris Hawkins hooking us up with the mugs, Almanac Metals being cool enough to send a Christmas card after purchasing that awesome piece of silver that I got off of them. Um, I'm trying to think anybody else. Ink Magazine being phenomenal by putting the tattoos and review on the cover page of their website for their digital downloads for their magazine. It's been amazing. It was an amazing year for the channel. I hope that this channel is going to be even more amazing this year coming up. Um, you know, it's not always easy. Sometimes it's hard to, um, find time to get stuff together or put topics together, do research. It's I think that's kind of what has been screwy with the channel. Um, dude, so Sarah just beat me to the punch. Sarah Emery just became a member.
Nice. Nice.
So what we've done is we have it set up now to where you could do a membership for the channel. Sarah, also, you rock with the $5 super chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, tried to make it as palatable as I possibly could. I'm not trying to rob anybody. It's just a matter of paying off gear, travel expenses, stuff like that going forward. And I wanted to make sure that I bring value to everybody that joins. There's different tiers. We're gonna do cool stuff for each tier. It's not like we're ever gonna charge for our videos. Our videos are always gonna be free. Our Sunday night live stream is always gonna be free. There's just gonna be some added incentives for some of the channel stuff. It's not about the money, never has been, but at some point too, you know, you gotta try to balance the load, so to speak. Um, hopefully, we don't lose anybody subscriber-wise from starting up a channel, but again, you don't have to join, it's no big deal. No harm, no foul. Um, so just wanted to throw that out. Um,
Uh, yeah, Buck, I gotta hug my mom and my kid
yeah,
before they leave.
that's cool.
Give me a second.
Yep. So, yeah, we're trying to do, all kinds of cool stuff with the setup, and,
All right.
I'm gonna mute him real quick, and we're trying to, um, just make sure that we're doing the right thing for each and every one of you all. So, again, um, let me undo that. Alright, brother, you're back. There you go.
Nice.
You guys can go ahead and check it out after the show's over, and like I said, if you wanna get in on it, that's cool. If not, I understand as well. Um, so we got a bunch of people talking behind Justin.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. There's a live stream happening.
Um, again, published videos are always gonna remain free. Sunday live streams are always gonna remain free. Um, and if anybody has any questions, feel free to hit me up. You wanna ask about any of the tiers, whatever, I'll be more than happy to do that. So before we jump into our topic for tonight, because we said that we wanted to all I threw it out there. Hey, what do you guys want to hear from us? What do you want to do? And a lot of you guys said history. So I said to you all, hey, what we're going to do is we're going to do history on stuff for maybe tattoo artists that we can't get a lot of information on, or we can't get, maybe a lot of B-roll, a lot of pictures from. So I wanted to start off tonight with somebody that I was actually looking into when I was doing the Bowery stuff with Charlie Wagner. And I thought it would be pretty cool to talk about him. His name is Apache Harry. I will show you a picture in a second, but he's one of the original guys from the Bowery. And before we get into that, let's say hello to everybody, Justin, just to make sure everybody is recognized that where everybody's hanging. So we got Tom from the UK hanging out, Sarah, OG Sarah, moderator Nikki. We got Fat Cracker, and he's actually at Spotlight Tattoo with Buddha. They're tattooing sneakers together. That's awesome. We got Lauren. Lauren, what's up? Welcome back. She has been missed. Looks like she had a little craziness with her apprenticeship, Justin. I'll tell you about that.
Nice.
Um, and then we got Jesse from Bold Magnolia hanging out. Chris Hawkins, thank you. I don't know if you missed it, dude, but we thanked you and showed your fantastic mugs to everybody.
Yeah, they were awesome, brother.
And
They were
then
awesome. Excellent. Excellent.
we got
I mean,
Luz. Go ahead, man.
I was stoked, man. Like, I was having like a shit day, and I got the mug in the mail, and I saw it. I was like, awesome.
Yeah, dude, and I totally forgot to tell Justin that you were sending him. So when he actually hit me up, he was like, "Dude, what the hell is this?" So nice little surprise, right?
Absolutely.
Um, yeah. So we did give you props, Chris. So let's get into this topic with Apache Harry. I'm actually going to bring up a quick picture because this is going to help you guys maybe understand how awesome this whole situation was back in the day and how close proximity these big name tattoo artists were at one time. Dude, my mouth is dry as the say. So I'm going to bring this up. We'll put me and Justin Tiny and so everybody can see this picture. And let me explain to you how close this is for this amazing group of tattoo artists. At number 4 and number 12 were Willie Moskowitz and Al Neville. Number 15 was, which is not pictured on here, by the way, Lame Leroy, who I'm not sure who that is. Justin, I don't know if you've ever heard of it or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe as a
Um,
footnote.
Number 22 was Apache Harry. Number 16 was Millie Hall. And number 11 would have been where Charlie Wagner was until his death in 1953.
My hero.
Um, so in that small little area, you had 2, 3, 4, 5, what, 8 people, 9 people is I'm hearing the show in the background.
Oh, okay.
Um, so 8, 9 people within a 1 block vicinity that were there tattooing. I mean,
Can you still hear the show, Buck?
yeah,
You can?
yeah. Um, Pretty crazy, right? I mean, you know, Wagner was like the I guess the ringmaster for that whole scene after Riley kind of passed the baton to him, right? And
I
then it
can't
went. Go ahead.
I can't really think of the pitch. There's a painting, and it's in Chicago, and it's of Willie Moskowitz's shop. It's and it, but it also shows uh, on the rest of the canvas is just the scene in the Bowery, and you see a lot of like individuals. It was like an avant-garde painter. I can't remember his name,
Mhm.
but if you look it up, it really would give you a sense of how chaotic and crazy that was. You know,
Right.
like the Barbary Coast almost.
Yeah. I mean, I know on the original video that I did for Charlie Wagner, I did have, some original shots of the Bowery, during the time, and, it like Justin just said, I mean, it was pure madness, the amount of people that were crammed into that little area that were pedestrians, horse and cart. I think the L was
Still above
started.
them.
Yeah, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
still above them. They were under the elevated train,
But, here's
which
a quick.
must have been a nightmare.
Yeah, for sure. But here's a quick picture, and it's one of the only pictures that I could find of Apache Harry. Um, I will figure this out one of these days. But that's one of the only pictures I could find of Apache Harry. It is actually showing him doing the, fixing a black eye on a gentleman, which towards the end of his career, I guess he was kinda known for. He was doing some cosmetic stuff, he was doing the eye black stuff, um, and then, believe it or not, he started to do the, tattooing Social Security numbers on people's arms, so people couldn't lose it, or if they lost their mind, the government couldn't deny them getting their check. Because it was on their arm. "No, dude, here's my Social Security number. Give me my check." Because there was this thought, I guess, back in the day when they created that, that it was gonna be a flash in the pan thing. It wasn't never gonna work out. So, there were the naysayers that were like, "You know what? Screw it. I'm gonna do the Social Security number," which is crazy if you think about it now, right? If you put in the context of today, how much we have to hide our Social Security number, because if you get your Social Security number gets put out to the world, you're pretty much screwed. You know what I mean? You're gonna have people opening up bank accounts and loans and God only knows what else if they get that number. Um, so that kind of blew my mind a little bit.
You know,
Um,
J.P. Morgan kept his people out of that. So J.P. Morgan ran the railroad, and he was convinced that Social Security wouldn't work in the long run. So that's why railroad, me and Elmer Fudd, railroad workers have a pension that's separate from Social Security. They don't pay it, but they can't draw it either because Morgan didn't believe in it, and he had enough clout to keep his. I mean, he more or less owned the railroad, like all of it, and so
yeah,
he had enough clout to keep his people out of it. Can you
crazy.
imagine owning the railroad?
Yeah, well, I I did, ironically enough, I don't know if you want to call it. I guess I dated. It was a quick little when I was in high school. Uh, Her parents actually owned a railroad in, like, Texas and a bunch of oil wells, and, I mean, they were,
Nice,
like
dude.
they were uber rich, dude, and their pool house was nicer than my house, and her
Right.
dad hated me because I practiced a different religion, than they did, and, probably
What the
also 'cause
Harley
I
the
drank a
Harley
lot.
Davidson religion?
Yeah, no. Uh, Dude, right on.
Thank you,
Chris, thank you.
Chris.
Thank you much. Thank you, thank you. Uh, yes, their pool house was nicer than my house. Much appreciated, Chris. Um, where was I going with that? Oh, her dad probably hated me because I drank all the beer at the in the pool house all the time, so another story for a different time. But, yeah, so Apache Harry, kinda got, at the end of his career, involved with that. He talks in a couple different articles where he was actually in Time Magazine, and it was in, like, 36 or so, where he was talking about that, and he was saying that you know, the want for tattoos was not as prevalent as it was years prior, and I'm assuming it was because of you know, right before the boom of World War II, 'cause you figure what, in '40 it would have been the boom that would have created more business from a tattoo perspective. So,
Absolutely.
um, I think one of the things that I found interesting, so let's show you some of Harry's work first. Let's do that because I think that that's worthy of bringing up first. So let's show you some of his work that he did, and this picture, was out of the article for, Time Magazine. So, let me do this. There we go. And it's not really big, is it? Let me see if I can make blow that up a little bit for you guys. Um, there we go. Is that better? Yeah, so this is a front and back, I know, right? Front and back piece that he did, um, for this gentleman, and, obviously, he's got a lot of work that he did for this guy.
Yeah, he's got Pharaoh's horses on his chest or on his stomach, and it looks like a resurrection piece on his back.
Yeah, that back piece looks really cool, man.
Yeah, there's a really good version of that if you look at the Bristol Tattoo Club. The Lescuse did a really, really good version of that.
Let me get back to us. There we go. So, that was, one of the pictures that was included in that Time magazine, that I'd found some pieces on because, again, I mean, I desperately tried to, you know, uh, get some photos, and it was very, very hard to find anything on this guy. I didn't even I couldn't even find Flash. Normally, I could at least get Flash, and I'm sure there's some out there, I just didn't have access to it. Here is his little shop that he had. Uh, from what I understand, it was tiny, very, very small, shop that he had. And there's you can see up here, it says the Apache Harry sign that was in that picture, the 22 Bowery.
So, did in that article did it say that he worked like in the Wild West shows or the carnivals? Is that how he got his name?
Yeah, so I'm gonna get into that in a minute.
Okay.
It was really hard to get info. Um, and this is how I got the info, which is this is crazy. Um, let me find it real quick. This was a picture. It was a photo card, antique photo card that was for sale for like 400 bucks. And underneath it gave details. So here is the photo card. Add to scene. We'll do that. And I'll spotlight that. There you go. This is this is Apache Harry's dad. So his last name was I think it's Lorea, Loryea.
So an Irish name that.
Uh Negative. Believe it or not, he is Jewish. And I found underneath of this was this huge snippet giving data, um, almost, like from beginning to end. And he was from uh, California. Um, you know, there was the stigma thing with the whole Jewish people getting tattoos because of the Talmud. Um, him with the Moskowitzes, they were like, "Yeah, you know, we don't believe in any of that, blah, blah, blah." And,
Plus Lou Alberts, right?
yeah, so Lou the Jew was included in that original
Yeah.
article. Um, excuse me. I'm trying to find the beginning of that. Give me 1 second.
You know the Wagner story about Lou? Guy comes into Wagner one time. He says, Charlie, I want a tattoo done. I want it done right. I want a good tattoo. Wagner says, listen, man, I don't do good tattoos. I do cheap tattoos. You want a good tattoo, go down the street to see Lou.
Mm, nice. So, yeah, so apparently they were born or they were from, California. They settled into San Jose, California. Um, his father and mom actually ran the Alum Rock Hotel. Um, and then they eventually wound up moving to Washington State. I'm wondering if some of that is where, the Wild West stuff comes into play, but I have more that I could read off here. So, um, it was a pretty interesting read. Um, I should have probably actually numbered these. Um,
Yeah,
so he
it's
turned his
funny that this it's
Go
funny
ahead.
that this guy is almost like he's like a Jack Red Cloud.
Right.
There's that one famous picture of Red Cloud, and he's mentioned briefly in the New York oral history book in Brooke and Blackie's story.
Mhm.
But for the most part, he just obscure, you know.
Right.
I mean, the one day he stood up from his chair and went and got a job as a elevator attendant. Just gave up tattooing. Really, that's the story. He just stood up from his chair and was like, "I've had enough."
Yeah.
When he got a job.
Um, so for he basically, I'm trying to get to the point where he says about the Wild West part. Um, so entangled himself in the tattoo world with tangibly, more than his blah, 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 effect suggestive of the Wild West inspired tattoos narrative. He conjured up the inventive tattoo moniker Apache Harry. Eventually, he also grew his hair long as a showy accompaniment and concocted a spiel about echoing the legacy of Hori Hio. I always pronounce that guy's name. Chiyo.
Chy.
Chiyo. It's the famous Japanese tattoo artist.
Horihito?
It's maybe um, about having learned his craft in 1902 in Manila from a poking Japanese master. So he had like this whole backstory that I don't know was necessarily true. Um, he then on went on to covering his body, including an intricate flag arrangement on his broad chest and a copy of Da Vinci's Last Supper on his shoulder. Um, he wound up, you know, looking like an impressive tattooed figure wherever his travels took him. Um, Within the next few years, the 500 designs Apache Harry toted around in his trunk saw mileage of all over the country, both carnivals, tattoo shops, and then in 1928, it performed in Pyle's Cross Country Carnival in Pennsylvania, and then in New York, where he wound up actually going into the Bowery and kind of like setting up shop there. Um, it's pretty crazy, man. Um, because he's a guy that you always hear his name getting kicked around, but a lot of information is missing. I mean, do you remember, hearing about Apache Harry at all when you were, starting off or, you
No,
know, right,
like maybe like as a footnote in a history book. Mostly, I knew about Moskowitz, Millie Hall,
right.
Lou. Yeah,
So I thought it was kind of interesting. And those are the types of people that I'm going to try to bring on to do some history stuff when we do it on the Sunday night live streams going forward. We're going to kick around other topics as well. It's never going to be just strictly history. I think that there's always potential for, I don't want to call it breaking news stuff, but articles happen that come out that go, well, that's a hot button topic, like the chick from Vegas or the girl with the TikToker that got her face tattooed and couldn't get a job. So, you know, um, I have a couple that have come across already that I went, you know what, I don't have enough to do an episode on, so why not put them together? I mean, this Lame Leroy, I've never even heard of that guy, but he was it was known enough to be put on the list. And I think that Michelle from Daredevil was actually part of the article, piecing some of that stuff together for that article. Um, I did get a cool picture though of what his shop looks like now, which is obviously nothing like it originally looked like. Uh, Check this out real quick. So this is what his shop looks like now, and boom, it now looks like
nice.
it's a Chinese DVD store.
It's a Chinese what?
DVD store.
DVD store.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's probably them. They're you know uh, selling bootleg DVDs. But yeah. So a little bit more information about Harry. We talked about the Social Security numbers. Um, at the time, Harry was charging 50 cents to a dollar for a tattoo. Presumably, the numbers were the cheapest. Um, Harry says that the late night crowd is still being was big money customers, but Social Security folks come in during the daylight to get those tattoos done. Um, he said that those people that were getting the Social Security numbers obviously were not getting anything crazy. They were just doing basic stuff. um, in 1936, he actually started to put on beauty spots and initials on women. Um, and most of his male clientele was soldiers and sailors. Um, and I found this kind of interesting. I know you will as well, or you will as well. Um, so later in the 40s, he got into the business of tattoo removal, according to an article in Laugh magazine in 1940. I didn't even know that was a thing back then.
Yeah, acid, where they would cut it off, an abrasion.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could pay somebody else to do that, but you could do that. I just like when I read it, I'm going, wait, what? That's I don't know. To me, I was thinking like, is that something you really would pay for? But I guess, right?
Yeah, you might have to pay for somebody else doing it because you wouldn't have enough courage to remove your own tattoo.
I don't think I could do it. I mean, I don't know about you, but there's no way.
Well, I did once.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a set of initials on me that I got rid of.
See, man. Ladies and gentlemen, you never get anybody else's initials, names tattooed on your body
You
unless it's your
absolutely
kid or your
get names
mom or
tattooed on you.
dad.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because you're gonna make money to change it.
Sonny Tufts, man. Sonny Tufts, covered in names. They said Sonny could meet a girl in a bar, say, baby, we're meant to be together because he already had her name He already had her name tattooed on him. Yeah, that's my goal. Get as many names as I can.
Nah, I'm good, man. Um, yeah, so
I mean, Apache Harry would probably get lots of names tattooed on him, you know? Pirate.
um, I
I
think
find it
that
really I find it really interesting that the character of his life, the coming from the West Coast to the East Coast, working the carnivals, working different shops, basically being a vagabond. And again, like, people have to understand, what the Bowery was like. Moskowitz has a story about, uh, having to hit guys with hammers because they
Mhm.
refused to pay. It wasn't like it wasn't a nice place.
Yeah, um, I'm trying to
I mean, I,
actually see if I could pull up a picture. I have one, but it's on my other computer, so I was trying to see. Yeah, here you go, man. I mean, this is it's not the best picture, but it's gonna work for what we're trying to do. There you go. All right. This actually includes the elevated line. Um, so where is it?
can you
Yeah,
imagine how filthy that was? Like no environmental consideration at all.
yeah,
Like
right.
really,
So there you go.
yeah, living under that.
I mean, nothing for nothing, but we have the L here in Philly, and it's filthy,
Right,
filthy.
and filthy. Even though can you imagine how incredibly restricted it is?
Yeah,
Like with emissions and how the conditions of the tracks have to be, how the stations have to be kept. I
yeah,
mean,
and
compared to then,
I think there was probably still tenant buildings and whatnot that didn't even have plumbing.
yeah,
You know, using outhouses or whatever.
throwing it out the window.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think they talk about that in the gangs in New York, right? With you know the Bowery Boys and all that. When they were talking about that, they were talking about how that section of New York was filth. I
Yeah,
mean, it wasn't that bad, obviously, when they were Moskowitz and those guys were there, but it was still bad. It was horrible, horrible
I mean,
situation.
I, I think that at that time, you could still be rousted by cops. Like if they caught you and you were from out of town, the cops would mug you.
Yeah,
Like no law. You know, it
and
just
now
you
what?
know,
You probably couldn't even buy a building in that section
nope.
for under like what, a mil?
Yeah, yeah, millions.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and even the $1 million building would be a complete shithole.
Have you ever seen a tenement walk up stairway?
Yes.
I mean, I actually went around one time the Lower East Side with a friend of mine, just looking at some of the stairways were so worn, because you know it's 100-year-old stairway, made
Mhm.
out of stone even, but yeah, and just long, long and steep
Yeah.
tenement walk up.
Well, so another, piece of this is that a lot of people might not know is that when, these guys started to tattoo, matter of fact, I know this was the case with Willie Moskowitz. Um, they were tattooing in the back of a barber shop. It wasn't a
Yeah,
tattoo shop. It was this little cubby hole in the back.
thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill. Much appreciated. Thank you, thank you. Um,
Yeah, Charlie tattooed under a set of stairs.
right. So it wasn't like they had this like, huge shop where they had tons of room and I don't know when that changed obviously, but a lot of those guys at the beginning and that's where in this article that I was looking at the Apache Harry, they were saying that, like his shop was tiny, dude. Like it was like almost like a closet. It was
Hmm.
not big at all. Matter of fact, in that picture of the where he's, holding the mirror for the guy checking out his black eye, um, that was it. Like it wasn't like there was like feet of space on the other sides of it, right? It was that little, and it was the same way for the guys that were on Coney Island as well,
Yeah, Blackie was the first one that had a storefront.
right? That
Before
had an
him,
actual window,
yeah, before that they were working out of booths on the boardwalk.
right? And then Jack Dracula, I think they were saying he worked under the roller coaster. Like
Yeah,
so, he didn't
after Eddie
even have
threw
a
him
booth.
out.
Yeah, he didn't even have a booth. He had like this little shanty underneath a roller coaster. Um,
I
Jack
can't
Dracula is actually one that I thought about doing as well.
I can't think of the guy's name, but he worked for Moskowitz, and he had a habit of like throwing food. They had rats, like sort of in the back of the shop in the basement area. And this guy, maybe his name was Neville. I forget what his name was exactly. But Stanley tells a story how he would just used to throw the rats food, right? Not keep them as pets necessarily, but just feed them every day. Yeah,
Yeah, that was Al Neville.
Al Neville. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
and Stanley talked about how Al would fall asleep. He would just be sitting there and sort of doze off with sort of a contented look on his face.
um, so wasn't there also obviously that you had the drunks and the winos and whatnot that used to frequent those establishments or whatnot, but I'm not sure if I'm remembering this correctly or not. Maybe you could back me on this, but I thought I remembered at one point they talked about Wagner would go down to the
With his
opium
coffee.
dens
Yeah,
and just because it was Chinatown basically, right? Was right
yeah.
there,
Wagner had a special cup of coffee he drank. He'd get a cup of coffee, and then he'd send a kid from the neighborhood down to Chinatown to get an ingredient, a little bit of opium in the coffee, and that's
right?
how he started his day.
So that alone right there, I mean, you got to look at things sometimes and go, well, I'm glad things changed.
So it's funny. Like a lot of people talk about how sanitized tattooing is now and how crazy it was 30 years ago. But really, I mean, if you think about the tattoo world that you and I came up in compared to the tattoo world of the Bowery,
Night and
I
day.
mean, yeah, we were like living in princess castles. They were hard guys, man.
Have you seen I guess they're memes that are going around about the dudes that think aluminum foil is sterile?
No,
Yeah, you have to look that up, man. It's hitting the reels pretty hard lately. Where
nice.
I guess one of the class people did something where they said, "Oh yeah, you use aluminum foil to do your tray," and yeah, so I found out. I was like, okay. I mean,
So me and Jesse were talking earlier about how nice of a person Sailor Jerry was, and there's a story where a guy from down the street said, "Jerry, man, your red ink. How do you get your red ink so good?" There's another tattooer, and Jerry said, "Well, under the full moon, I put 3 drops of piss in it.
hmm
Really, really, brings the color out." So apparently the dude did it and was shut down like a
yeah,
week later from
because
terrible infections. Yeah, that
yeah,
was Jerry.
people getting all kinds of, infections and whatnot from it, and,
Yeah.
yeah, not good. Uh, have you ever seen the pictures of people that claim that they got an infection from the tattoo artist, and they got those giant blister balls?
Yes.
I dude,
So
that's not
so one time this guy came into my shop, and so he comes in. This is the old shop I owned, and he's just walking around. He's touching everything, right? Gets to the front counter, says, "I got a tattoo here over this other place, tattooed at another shop, and I think it might be infected." And he pulls up his shirt, and he's covered in like boils, basically. Like he's got a super infected nautical star in the center of his chest, and just a ring of boils, right? So I was like, you need to go to the hospital and you need to get the F out of my shop right now. And then I had to shut everything down to re sterilize the waiting room because he'd just been touching everything. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
then after 5 minutes of like touching all, touching everything in the waiting room, he was like, does this look infected? Yeah, tattooers have always been vulnerable to that, man. Like, it's like the mayonnaise story. A buddy of mine was working in a kitchen. A guy said, "Do you have any ointment?" And he said, "No." And the dude put mayonnaise on the tattoo. You know, like you can't control what people do when they get out of here. And part of my instructions to people is like, regardless of what your cousin says, I do this for a living, and if you have any questions, please call me. But you're
So
vulnerable.
the reason why I'm also bringing that up is that that's one of the things that, still kinda blows my mind when I read some of those, stories from, like, Philadelphia Eddie. He actually talks about it on the one, audiobook that he has. So, because 'cause I'm digging into the whole Philadelphia Eddie thing right now for an episode. And, he's talking about how, like, they're just using a bucket and a sponge, and they're using that thing all day until it gets basically to the point where it's like, "Alright, it's not even really water anymore." You
Nice,
know what I mean? And then, like,
nice.
switching it out and whatever, but you're not switching out the sponge or cleaning the bucket, you're just dumping the water, putting
Dump in the water and putting some Lysol in there. Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, and
yeah.
it's when you start to hear some of those stories, you go, "Man," like, there's reasons why things change and needed to change, um, obviously.
I mean,
Uh,
even pictures from the '70s, right? Even pictures from the '70s, they're not wearing gloves,
right,
and
right.
that's
Cliff Raven was one of the first to
yeah,
start using gloves, before it was actually, became a mandate to wear gloves. Now, there was this thought because of his sexual preference and whatever, that's why and blah, 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 but he was doing it before HIV got big because he was kind of a germaphobe. But then they realized it was part of that was, the sterilization process, needed to improve,
yeah,
um, and get better.
yeah. We're tattooers are supposed to tattoo in what's considered a clean environment, and clean is one step below a sterile environment. We can't be sterile because we don't have nurses washing our hands and gowning us before we walk into the operating theater. That's the level of sterile. That's what they mean by sterile. But
Yeah,
yeah, we're considered clean. We're supposed to be like a doctor or dentist office.
right. But it's never gonna be a sterile environment.
Yeah, I can do a sterile setup where everything that I'm tattooing with is sterile, but it's not an operating theater.
Yeah, yeah. So,
And
go ahead.
well, I mean that's something that I do regardless. Like I don't really tell people too much about tattooing, but anybody that comes in here, if I find out they're tattooing at home, I show them how to do it clean. Yeah,
And I've heard you say on many occasions, "Hey, man, like, I'm not gonna teach you to tattoo, but, you could come in and I'll show you how to do a sterile setup, a clean
Yeah,
it or a clean setup, a clean environment,
yeah, yeah.
because you don't want anybody going around spreading whatever, causing issues. You know, it just it kind of blows my mind though how some of these things when you look back and you go, wow, I can't believe that it was like that. But you know,
So I at one point took the sterilization course from the APT, the Alliance of Professional Tattooers, and they did this thing where they put a chemical on our hands, right, and said, "Go wash your hands as thoroughly as you can." Right, so everybody washes their hands super thorough, and then they scanned our hands with a black light to show us how much of the chemical was left,
mhm.
even after like a really really serious cleaning. And they're like, "That's why you wear gloves. That's why you wear gloves."
Yeah, I you know I remember, I guess, it was 92, 93 when I first got my first tattoo, and I remember, buddies of mine saying to me, "Man, make sure the dude pulls the needle out of a package. He's gotta
Yeah,
use a brand new needle," you
got to
know?
use a fresh needle.
Yeah, which,
So
I'm
I'm,
sure
you know,
there's people
I'm
that
not
would skate
endorsing
around
this.
that.
I'm not endorsing this, but the guy that taught me to tattoo, right? His policy was to give you your needle
Yeah,
when the
in a
tattooing was done,
in a straw.
and then if you needed a touch up, you brought your needle back. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I never really did that.
No,
I
I
was
mean,
like,
I remember that. I remember that as well.
yeah, I'll spend the 35 cents and use a new needle.
Right? How about if I give you a couple extra bucks, dude? I'll gladly pay for a brand new one.
Yeah.
Just saying. I'll throw an extra 20 in. Just give me a brand new one. Um, yeah, so, um, looks like, Chris Hawkins said, "I'd like to see one on Dracula." Um, there's actually some, videos of him, talking on camera. I guess his son recorded it, uh, the month that he died. Um, it's pretty sad to watch. He was actually in really bad shape.
He was
Um,
pretty beat up at the end. Yeah.
yeah, but interesting story, man. Apparently, the dude was very smart, by the way.
Yeah.
Uh,
Reader.
yeah, I mean, he obviously looked like a whack job with especially the face, like the goggles thing, man.
The spectacles. Yeah. The eagle on his forehead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were talking about that painting earlier. Just to get back to some of the comments, by the way. Fudu is happy. Said you're talking about the Reginald Marsh, the painter that did that
Reginald
painting.
Marsh.
Um, and Bill,
I think it
oh,
might have been called something like View Outside a Tattoo Shop, or it's fairly specific.
okay, Bill O'Connell made it in. Glad to see you, buddy. He uh, he was one of the ones sitting in the other room waiting. So thank you to our moderator Nikki for doing that and going over there.
So
Uh,
my buddy Marker Bob, right? He's got a story about Moskowitz, or not Moskowitz, about Jack Dracula. So Bob lived in South Philly. He used to go to this deli, and he would see Jack Dracula there. And after seeing him a couple times, like he started to talk to him, and they leave. And he says to Jack, he's like, can I carry your groceries home? You need me to carry your groceries? And Jack Dracula's like, I'll carry a refrigerator on my back. I don't need help with some. Yeah. As an old man, I'll carry a refrigerator on my back. He was
but
serious.
at the end, though, wasn't he in like a mobility scooter
Yeah,
or whatever?
he was beat up.
He
Yeah,
was a
at
big
the
dude
end.
too,
Yeah.
real big dude.
I mean, this is probably 20 years before he passed away, that Marker Bob knew him. But yeah.
Right on. Um, yeah. So, Chris, that's something we could look into. You know, whether it's one of these Sunday night episodes that we talk about them, or if I can get enough information to do a full episode on him as a history episode, I will definitely do that. Ah, dude, thank you, Medusa, with
Thank
the
you.
$10 super chat.
Dracula is actually featured in that oral history book,
Yeah,
the New York history book, and there's a couple good shots of him.
yeah,
The story was is he was working for Blackie, right, Brooklyn Blackie with Eddie, and he kind of fell in with the freaks because there was like a 10-1. It was Coney Island, so he fell in with like the freaks, and they convinced him to tattoo his face like that because they're like, that's how you can make your living. You can be a tattooed guy. And the reason he had such a grudge with Eddie is because it came to the point where people weren't coming into the shop to get tattooed. They were coming into the shop to look at Dracula,
yeah,
to see him as like, the tattooed freak guy. So Eddie was like, we can't work like this. You got to go.
right.
And yeah, as a result, Jack Dracula did not.
Dude, didn't Jack Dracula actually made it a point of moving wherever Eddie
And
moved?
he was, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
which
they
I don't
say
know
that,
if Jack made it to California when Eddie had the shop out in California or not, but uh, I know that he went from New York to Philly.
yeah, so he was actually in Camden for a while, and his tattoo shop was on the way to Sailor Eddie's shop. And the story with that is that people would go into Jack Dracula's shop and be like, hey, I'm looking for Sailor Eddie. I hear he does good work. And Jack Dracula would be like, you found the place. I'm
Mm,
Sailor Eddie. Yeah, big cutthroat. Cutthroat,
yeah,
man.
um, Philly does have an amazing tattoo history,
Yes,
and
it does.
it's not just Philadelphia Eddie. I mean, he wound up being like the rock star of them all, obviously. But there were some pretty big names that were in Philly, um, throughout the years, and I'd love to do what I could to cover a majority of those. Some of them are a little bit harder to get info on, and we'll do what we can, but we'll see what happens. Philadelphia Eddie's definitely in the it's within eyesight of actually sitting down and recording it now. So,
The guys in the Kensington shop, they actually kept a lot of his stuff.
yeah,
So if
Tommy
we ever
Knapp.
wanted, yeah, if we ever wanted to go down to the Kensington shop, Eddie's old shop there, they don't have the museum set up anymore, but they still have a lot of the stuff that he had in there on display.
Okay,
I don't think it's called Philadelphia Eddie's, that particular shop. It has another name,
right.
but it's the Kensington shop that Eddie owned.
Good old Kensington. Oof, it's a rough neighborhood, brother. Get
Yeah.
to see all the zombies walking around. Um, yeah, I mean, we got some cool stuff lined up for the year, and just be patient. We're working on it, and you know, I'm doing my best to get over the hurdles of other stuff that's going on. But I also have some interviews set up too, so um, we're gonna be doing a couple more of those as well. Don't get the views that I would like to see from them, but the fact of the matter is, some of these guys have some amazing stories, and that's more important than views. So it's gonna be cool. Um, so as we wrap this up, again, I want to thank each and every one of you for being a subscriber to the channel. And also, I want to thank you for hanging out with us on Sunday nights. We do enjoy it. We enjoy talking to you guys. Um, the tiers are open for the membership for the channel. It should be pretty cool. If you can't do it, don't want to do it, it's fine. No harm, no foul. All our videos will always remain free, and so will our Sunday night stuff. So, um, you know, much appreciated. And I thank you all for actually finding us. And I thank you, Nikki, for dragging some people over here. And I apologize for screwing that up. And I'll make sure I fix that as soon as we're done here.
See,
Uh,
Buck, I don't think you mentioned, right? If we have members, we're freed up about what we can talk about to a degree, right?
Yeah,
Like we're
so
not.
if we do a members only thing, yeah,
Yeah.
that definitely puts us in a position where we could be a little bit more free with stuff.
Yes. Yeah. A little more explicit in our stories.
Maybe. I'm kind of still trying to figure a lot of this stuff out. I mean, I took a week of getting information together on how to set it up and what to do, and uh, we have actually some pretty cool channel badges that are custom. We have some cool emojis that channel
Yes.
get to use. Matter of fact, I made one of me and one of you. The one of Justin, I even got the, FTW on the one side and the 13 on the side, so it's pretty cool, man.
I look like a Dungeons and Dragons dwarf. It's awesome. I look like Gimli
Well,
from
yeah,
Lord
that
of the
was
Rings.
I'm on making them.
Yeah.
They were like little chubby dwarfs, but, it was the best fit for what what we look like, so, um, we'll see you all next week. Thank you for stopping by, and next week, we will be in the shop together as a unit again, unless there's a freaking snowstorm, but I think we're pretty much done with snow for the year, so we will catch you all next
Don't
week.
don't don't ever
I'm
say
knocking
that.
on wood. I'm knocking on wood, dude. I'm knocking on wood. I'm knocking on
Good,
wood.
good.
And wait, unless you're not up for it next week too, man. I mean, you might be laid up, so
I'll be
you know,
fine. I'll be fine.
thank you
I'll
all
be
for
fine by
stopping by.
Thursday.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
Everybody stay safe.
Have a great week, everybody.